Today we're going to talk about healing trauma to the system. And when we think of trauma, most people think of accidents, but we need to get away from that terminology because a trauma can be an accident, but it can be also a disease process in the body. So if you have a herniated disc in your back, if you've been in a car accident, yeah, those are traumas. If you have heart disease, if you have diabetes, if you have fibromyalgia, if you're depressed, I propose these are all traumas as well. And the number one thing the trauma will produce is a shock to the system. It activates the sympathetics, which is part of your nervous system that is the fight-flight response. That limits blood flow throughout the body. It restricts healing. Creates a big problem, right? So the very first thing that we need to do if we're suffering from basically illness is we have to get that shock out of the system so that then we can move to the next phase, which is getting the system to heal properly. If we don't remove the shock, we're going to be swimming upstream right from the beginning. And people have a hard time with this because they want to get right to the area that's injured, right? If someone comes to me and they've got a herniated disc in their back, they want me to go in right to that disc and repair that disc immediately. They don't want me to spend time at all taking the shock out of the system. But you got to do that. And nobody does it, but that's what I do. And that's what I've done in my clinic for 20 years. First, I remove the shock. And you can do that on your own using some special herbs and some techniques. And we're going to cover that first before we move into how to get the tissue to actually regenerate properly. Because remember, if we don't get the shock out first, then nothing farther down the line is going to work as good as it should. How do we restore the system and remove that shock? We can use herbs like valerian. Valerian works really well. Valerian relaxes muscles. It increases circulation of blood. It activates the parasympathetics. That parasympathetic part of your nervous system, it's the part of the nervous system you need so that you can heal. For cellular regeneration, the parasympathetics need to be activated. And valerian will help train that system over time to activate. It helps you relax. It'll help you with your sleep. You need to get lots of sleep in the beginning. If you've hurt yourself, don't be hard on yourself about sleep. Sometimes it's good to get sleep, even take a nap in the afternoon. Give your body what it wants. Get the shock out of the system, get the parasympathetics turned on first. Some people like Cava, and I've used Cava myself effectively for this. Look, Cava Root, it's stronger, but you can't use it 3-4 times a day like you can with valerian because it's going to make you drowsy. Also, there are people out there that are what I like to call hemp heads. And I'm not talking about medical marijuana. I'm talking about hemp oil. And you can use hemp oil. That also is a great way to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. The key is, first, before we do anything else, we have to turn on that parasympathetic nervous system to remove the shock. A lot of times, physically, we find that the diaphragm is tight and restricted. And in my clinic, I do a procedure where I release the diaphragm. You're not going to be able to do that probably on your own, but you can breathe properly just by elongating your exhalation. So you breathe in for, say, 5 seconds, breathe out for 10. Just by increasing the amount of time you spend exhaling, you automatically will help to soften the diaphragm, remove those trigger points that may have formed, and you're going to activate the parasympathetics just from that. You're also going to slow the heart rate down. All effective ways to remove the shock. Now, once that shock is removed, the next thing we have to tackle is the inflammation. And inflammation is very important, right? You must have inflammation to get to the third stage, which is the regeneration of the tissue. The amount of injury you have is normally related to the amount of inflammation. So if you have a big injury, right? If you have burns over 50% of your body, you're going to have an insane amount of inflammation. If you have a paper cut, it's going to be very small. And I'm not trying to mock any of those injuries. I'm just saying that they're normally correlated. The problem is with inflammation is it's a war, right? It's a war between the injury and your immune system. Your immune system goes into the injured site armed with flamethrowers, essentially. And it just sprays everything. It destroys all of the debris. It destroys all of the injured tissue, right? Which needs to happen. But in the process, a lot of times, it will also destroy healthy tissue. So it's not very distinct. And because of that, we don't want that inflammatory process to last very long. We need it initially to clean the area. But we don't want this thing going on for weeks and weeks because it'll start to destroy healthy tissue. How do we signal the immune system gone wild? How do we signal the immune system to halt that inflammatory process? Strangely enough, we do it with omega-3 fatty acids. The constituents of the omega-3 fatty acids are the signaling molecule that tells the immune system to stop with the flamethrowers. Isn't that beautiful? You need to get about 2,000 milligrams a day of the active ingredient in the omega-3 fatty acid called EPA. If you check a bottle of fish oil or you check your supplement, you'll see that there's EPA and DHA in the supplement. You're not looking for a total amount of 2,000 milligrams of supplement. You're looking for 2,000 milligrams of EPA. And that's almost impossible to get from the supplements you're going to find on the market. But we can get it with Oprima EPA from Standard Process. 2 of these soft gels have 600 milligrams of EPA. Take it 3 times a day. You're going to get close to that 2,000 milligram goal. The next thing we need to do is we need to actually clean up the damage that was done by the inflammatory process. So this immune system that did its job and it created all this, havoc in your body with the flamethrower. The byproduct of that is going to be free radicals. It produces a lot of free radicals. We don't want those free radicals in that area. We want to get rid of them. For that, we use antioxidants. And the best antioxidants to use come from a product called Boswellia complex. There is no better anti-inflammatory on the market right now. This has got Boswellia, celery seed, ginger, and turmeric all in one capsule. Take one of these 2 to 4 times a day. It will completely eliminate inflammation. And by the way, if you suffer from something like IBS, Crohn's disease, colitis, arthritis, these inflammatory type of conditions, this is your go-to product. By the way, it's a good time to talk about pain, I think, don't you? We're halfway through the video. We haven't even talked about pain, and we're talking about trauma, right? So pain is very subjective, of course, but I want to let you know that you don't want to experience high levels of pain for very long. So if you rate pain on a 1 to 10 level, 10 being the most pain you've ever had in your life, you don't want to be up past a 5 or a 6. If you go past that level of pain experience, you're going to create more problems, because what you're going to do is you're going to reinforce those nociceptor pathways, those pain pathways. You're going to make them stronger. And then it's going to be easier for your body to be in pain later on. This is how chronic pain starts. We don't want that. So if your pain is beyond a 5 or a 6, you need to think about something to get the pain down. And I use, and my clients use, willow bark. It's a product called Salagesic. These are going to make you feel like you're taking Advil or Aleve, but you're not going to get all the nasty side effects of an NSAID. It's not going to dissolve the lining of your stomach or weaken your Achilles tendon or any of those other nasty things. You can take one of these 2 to 4 times a day as needed. They are absolutely fantastic for reducing pain. They're very expensive, but they're the best. So now finally we go to the 3rd stage, which is cellular repair. We definitely want to increase blood flow into the area of damage. Remember, it's the blood. It's the circulation of blood to the nerves and to the injury. That's going to bring the nutrition and the oxygen that's going to motivate the cells to regenerate properly. Goto Cola complex. So Goto Cola influences a process called angiogenesis. It means that it helps your body take the blood vessels that are already existing and grow new branches into the damaged tissue. And that's going to increase blood flow, circulation, more oxygen, more nutrition. It's going to help healing, right? Also, Goto Cola, it prevents adhesions. So it makes sure that when your body lays down that regenerated tissue, when it starts to heal, it gives you the optimal or the highest quality tissue that you can get. It literally prevents scar tissue. We don't want a lot of scar tissue, right? Because some of these injuries, they're inside your body. You don't get to see them. But if the injury heals with a lot of scar tissue, there's going to be adhesions, restrictions. It's going to create health challenges farther down the road. Goto Cola, it really makes sure that you get the optimal tissue quality for the repair. And in this complex, they've also added ginkgo. Ginkgo, I'm a big proponent of ginkgo. It's going to increase peripheral circulation. It's going to increase blood flow. It's going to bring the magic juice to the injury, right? Bring that blood there, let it heal the best it can. You can take one of these 3 to 4 times a day. Does wonders. Okay, finally, are you still with me? we want to use protomorphogens. Protomorphogens are a supplement that is very specific to the type of tissue we're trying to regenerate. So if we're trying to regenerate skin tissue, we use a skin extract. If we're trying to help heal a kidney, we use a kidney extract. And I'll put up a list. These are very specific to the specific organs of the body. And we use these as a way to feed the system the blueprint for healing. And if that's too far out for you, if that's something you cannot get your head around, you can read the article on my website about protomorphogens. I wrote a great article about it. I've made videos explaining the mechanisms of this. But if all that's too complicated, if it's all too esoteric for you, just think of them as protein supplements. You're going to take these protomorphogens. They're going to give the specific tissues of the body the exact type of nutrition that it needs specifically to regenerate. And we want to take a lot of these. It's not uncommon to take 6 to 9 of these a day. Remember, this is food basically. It's basically a protein supplement. These are going to dramatically increase the odds of the tissue healing properly. If you go to my website under protocols, you can download the article I wrote on protomorphogens. I have a complete list there that you can follow that has the exact protomorphogen for the specific tissue that you're trying to heal. And that's a very useful resource. Okay, finally, I want to discuss some tools for healing. And I'm going to label these from the least expensive to the most expensive. And unfortunately, there is a correlation between the more expensive tools being more effective. However, that said, you can start with just a ceramic block magnet. This is from ProMagnet. It's 3 pounds in weight. It's less than $40, guys. This tool will help greatly increase your odds of overcoming trauma and healing your system. It has a north and a south pole. In the beginning, when you're trying to remove that shock we talked about, use the north pole. Just lay it anywhere on your body. You can lay it right on your chest like this. The magnet has a 31-inch field around it, and your entire system is going to be affected by that magnetic field. And that north pole is going to relax the body, right? It's going to activate that parasympathetic system. It's going to inhibit, and it's going to be what you need to activate the healing mechanism and to reduce shock in the body. Of course, you can use it directly over the area that's injured as well, but you want to use that north polarity. Later, when we go to the final phase where we're interested in tissue regeneration, we want to use the south pole. Very important. The south pole is going to activate a mechanism of healing. It is going to increase cellular replication. It is going to increase activity. And truth be known, it is going to activate, are you ready for this? A little bit of the sympathetic nervous system. Now, I know we just said sympathetics were bad. They're not bad. There's no bad and good. You need the parasympathetics in the beginning. But as we move along and we want to heal, as we want regeneration of tissue and tissue growth, right, and division, we need to have those sympathetics. South pole will do that. I made many videos on magnets that you can watch. Next on the list would be a moist heating pad. Do not use ice on the injury. Don't do it. Ice causes more shock. We don't want any more shock. We just talked about wanting to get rid of shock. Moist heat is the best. Battle Creek Medical makes the best moist heating pad available. You can get these from Amazon. And this will increase circulation of blood flow. People say, well, that's going to increase swelling. No, it's not. When you increase blood circulation, you reduce edema. You get blood moving through the area. It carries away those free radicals, right? It influences healing. It activates the parasympathetics, relaxes the body, removes the shock. Get a moist heating pad. Use that thing for 12 to 20 minutes at a time. Use it several times a day. By the way, same with the magnet. 12 to 20 minutes, several times a day. Don't use the magnet if you have a pacemaker. Otherwise, you should be good to go. Next is something very interesting that I bet a lot of you are not going to guess that would be on my list. I have one here that I just got that I really like. I'm going to show it to you. These massage guns. This massage gun is called the Q2 Mini. It's a Bob and Brad. You know those guys? Bob and Brad brand. Bob and Brad brand. There we go. Bob and Brad brand. Anyways, this is great. And it's great for a lot of reasons. It's cheap. It's not real expensive. And it's not real big. And I'll show it to you here. That's what makes this so good, right? Look at this thing. So we want to use this over the area of the injury, but we want to use it very gently. If it's too sore and you can't do that on the lowest setting, go to the opposite side, because the nerves from both sides of the body meet in the spinal cord in a central level. So if we stimulate the opposite shoulder, we're still feeding neurological input back into the level of the spinal cord that this shoulder is connected to, and that can help as well. So these are great. I would recommend you get this particular one because it's not expensive. It's super lightweight. You don't need more power than this unless you're a CrossFit person and you want to, do a lot of CrossFit stuff. If you're a normal human being, this is perfect. And I've reviewed these on my website. I have a separate video that just reviews this if you're interested on how to use it. But the bottom line is we use these massage guns. I hate to say massage gun, right? It's horrible to say that it's a gun. We use these massage tools, better. We use these massage tools to stimulate the nerves in the area so that the brain pays attention to the area and it heals quicker. Finally, of course, we have the Flex Beam. The Flex Beam is the ultimate healing tool. It's a little bit expensive, but I do have a discount code available on my website. It's the best. It increases ATP production in the body. No question, the research proves it. When we increase ATP production in the cell has more energy to do its thing. Guess what we want it to do? Heal. Using the Flex Beam over the injury increases the rate of healing. Flex Beam is basically a red light device, right? At a very specific frequency that increases that production of ATP. And you can use it for so many different things. I've made many videos on the Flex Beam. If you're interested in optimizing your healing, pick one up for sure. And with all these products, use the links on my website. You get discounts. In most cases, you buy it directly from the manufacturer, and it helps support my channel. Thank you very much. So the takeaway is simple. If you're ill, you have trauma. If you have trauma, you have shock in the nervous system. First, you need to remove the shock. Secondly, you need to stop the inflammatory process. Thirdly, you have to clean up the free radicals. And finally, you have to help regenerate the tissue properly with no scarring, so it lays down the best quality of tissue available. It will never be equal to the original tissue before the injury, but we don't want a lot of ugly scarring, right? Hope this was useful. Please subscribe to the channel. And as always, reach out to me through the website if I can be of any help. Thank you very much.